Today we are getting back into the gene keys. We're looking at the 36th gene key. It's called Becoming Human. The city is compassion, the gift is humanity, and the shadow is turbulence. I picked this one today because I was reading through it. I'm like, which one do I want to talk about today? It's been a little minute. And this one resonated with me. When I was reading over my notes, I'm like, ooh, I feel that, So I think y'all gonna feel it too. The shadow turbulence, the subheading is the dark night of the soul. So some of you may or may not be familiar with the concept of the dark night of the soul, but it's really about suffering. Sometimes people use it to refer to a season of depression, but hence the word dark, like it's this dark period, right? This period of being in this dark, painful almost state. So I'm going to read a little bit of the notes here. What I have underlined. So the 64th gene key shadow provides the grist for the meal of all human suffering. So that concept of human suffering, it's an emotional battle that must be fought by every individual at certain points during his or her life. So I think that was the important thing that I learned about the dark night of the soul when I first learned about that concept, is that it happens during certain periods of life. So it's not this one and done concept, because I remember when I first heard about it, I'm like, oh yeah, I've been through that. I've had that before, check. No, it's going to keep returning. It's this recurring thing that we all experience. May not have had a name for it. Like I said, I know some people refer to it as like a depressive period or whatever. But that was really helpful for me to learn that, it's supposed to happen again. But the way that we show up in it and the way that we handle it, that's the value that you can get from knowing about it, is knowing that you can show up differently, you can handle it differently. There are ways to deal with it, knowing that it's inevitable, right? So it's something that we can't escape, but it is something that we can essentially become a master of, or at least learn how to manage and move through. Okay. It manifests as a collective emotional turbulence. So that's why I can see why some people look at it as depression, because a lot of the times that's like emotional, that's mental when we're going through those depressive states. So the dark night of the soul is an emotional turbulence. A great deal of heavy propaganda for the shadow is shown through mass media. The continual barrage of negative news via television and the media ensures that most human beings are programmed with an unconscious background field of nervousness and turbulence. Whew, that right there is some truth. I don't know how many people are aware. I feel like more and more people are realizing that the media, contrary to some popular belief, a lot of it is like fear mongering. It's a lot of programming and propaganda to have us in a state of fear, to have us in this continual state of angst, to have us wondered and worried what's going to happen next. Like, to cause, I feel like, dis-ease. Like, you're in a state of dis-ease, you're in a state of angst, you're wondering what's going to happen next. And there's a lot of propaganda and causes a lot of nervousness and turbulence. So it does definitely go hand in hand with the dark night of the soul. Okay. At the most profound level, the 36th shadow contains an enormous wealth of consciousness. It uses us humans as experiential eyes to probe the outer limits of consciousness itself, and demands that we look into the darkness, put our fears aside, and plunge in regardless. Because of the shadow, there can be no human life free of emotional turbulence. So think about that, how like, you probably heard somebody, whether it's family, friend, that said, we're all going through something, right? Like, everybody's going through something. You don't know what somebody else is going through. That's going to be always. Like, there's not this day that we just like, we're good and we never have issues or problems again. Hopefully our problems are changing. I want new problems. I want new issues. I've said that I don't want to be going through the same issues and having the same problems that I had last year. Like, why? Why haven't I like grown, evolved, learned past that? So to say that I don't want any more problems, I want everything to be figured out, like, that's unrealistic. We're in life school, we're here. That's what we're here for. We all learning. So that's just that confirmation that no human life is free of emotional turbulence. So even if everything physically, like they say, some rich people still, like, they physically, monetarily, they have everything, right? but still there's still something that's not right. There's still some sort of unrest. There's still some sort of lack of peace. And that's because being a human, you guaranteed that. Like, we're always going to have that emotional turbulence. Okay. One of the greatest determinants of our frequency is how we deal with emotionally challenging situations. I definitely agree with that. I can say I've been becoming a master of my emotions. Have I mastered them completely? I can't say that, but I definitely can say that I'm getting really good. I've gotten really good at experiencing my emotions. So I do not think we should try to escape our emotions. So for example, if you did something and it made me feel away or I'm upset, I'm going to experience it because it's there. Like, it came up, that's how I'm feeling. Now, what I don't have to do is react to that. I don't have to respond, but I'm going to allow myself to experience that emotion until it passes naturally, because I don't think it's healthy to try and push away feelings and emotions, whether that's being sad, anger, fear. I think we have to experience it. Then I think we have to transmute it. We have to become alchemists, right? And we have to transmute it, turn it into something else. Okay, I'm angry right now. I'm going to experience the anger. But now what am I going to do with it? How am I going to channel? How am I going to redirect that energy? And that's something I feel like that I've definitely become pretty good at. I've become very self-aware of, like, okay, this is how you're feeling. What do you want to do about it? I don't like projecting onto others. So I'm like, okay, you need to like sit with that. And sometimes that may look like taking myself away from certain environments, not responding to a message yet. Just removing myself, giving myself some wait time, giving myself some time to think, chill. So that's what I feel like that is getting at right there. Let's see what I want to talk about next. Dark night of the soul pulls us towards the unknown that draws the unknown toward us. So funny, I don't know if it's considered funny, but interesting story. I remember one day, was I in my teens or early 20s? I don't know, but I randomly had this thought. I know I have been asked before, like, what are you afraid of? What's your greatest fear? And one day, just spontaneously, the answer came to me, and I was like, I have a fear of the unknown. And I'm like, where the heck did that come from? Like, what? I'm like, the things that I don't know, like, if I don't know what's going to happen next, or like what's going to happen tomorrow, or what's going to happen with that situation, that's what really scares me. I have a fear of the unknown. So to see that, like, that really is a thing in the universal consciousness, this fear of the unknown. Like, I think I just probably picked up on that download. I'm like, yeah, like, when I don't know, that scares me. Hold on, I want to know. I want to know what's going on. So that's what it's saying, that dark night of the soul is going to pull us towards that unknown. Like, it's testing you. Like, all right, you don't know. Now what? What are you going to do? Are you going to fold under pressure? So that's what's happening right there. That's crazy, because right here it says, in so doing, this shadow tests your level of frequency and offers you the opportunity to transcend your own suffering. Wow. So it really is a test. Like, it's testing you. It's trying to pull your card. Like, all right, you don't know what's going to happen next. How are you going to show up? Are you going to be able to, what frequency are you going to be on? What frequency are you going to respond in? So are you going to respond from a fear-based frequency? Like I was saying, I had a fear of it. So like, oh no, I'm not going to go. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going. Whether it's going somewhere or doing something, I'm not going to start that project. I'm not going to talk to that person because I don't know what's going to happen. Or are you going to like operate in your power, like operate from a place of peace and surrendering and positivity, all of those positive, higher vibrational emotions, right? So it's testing you. If you do not break out of your own victim patterns, but continue to resist your true nature, you will keep being shown the same lessons again and again until you learn from them. And what did I just tell y'all? I want new issues. I want new problems. I want new lessons. Like, that's what I was trying to say. I want new lessons. I don't want to keep learning the same lessons. Like, I remember I had gotten to a space in dating and I'm like, you keep dating the same people just in a different physical form. Like, no, I'm not doing that anymore. Like, why are you still having to have these types of conversations with different people? You're choosing the same person in a different physical form. No, ma'am. So I had to like get over that. So yes, until we learn from them, we gonna keep getting that same lesson. We gonna keep bumping our head. Even financial situations, I'm like, okay, you gotta be more financially responsible, baby, or else you gonna keep struggling. Like, it's just, so I'm using the most basic and I feel like relatable examples that I can think of. Everybody be dating. Everybody does or doesn't have some money, you know? That's just, so that's why I'm going to those. But yeah, if you do not, and responding in your true nature. So when I say like those higher vibration responses, I guess the best way to put it is in your true nature. And I guess our true nature is that like higher frequency responses. Okay. So, plunge you into a deep dark night in which you are riddled with self-doubt. As you allow yourself to be purged by the power of your own suffering, you will realize the utter bliss of the higher states and will recognize your own huge good fortune. Well, there's a positive note after all that truth I just had to drop on y'all. And then it talks about how it's deeply connected to the true Christ consciousness. I'm not going to go into that because that's a whole topic in itself. But just know that like the Christ consciousness, the Christ figure, like there is deeper and multiple layers behind that whole concept. Yeah. But this repressive nature, so what does it look like when you are repressing this dark shadow of the night? So repressed, that means, you know, we're holding something in, we're holding it back, we're fighting it. It shows up as nervousness. So that's what it looks like when you are repressing this. The emotional turbulence is resisted. It becomes nervousness. You are terrified of change. You attempt to maintain outer calm at all costs. Whew. The turbulence becomes internalized. It gets trapped in the nervous system. So like I was saying, those feelings of angst, not being able to be calm, that like dis-ease. You're unable to relax and send nervous waves into your intermediate environment as well as into others. I think that's very crucial right there, because remember, we're talking about frequencies, and if you are embodying and repressing this nervous energy, then you're sending out these, what exactly did they say? These nervous waves into your immediate environment. So like if I was sitting here nervous and had this nervous energy, then I'll be sending that out into the environment. Like that's what I'm putting out. Like she's nervous. Like that is what I'm putting out there. And it also talks about I'm sending it, other people can pick up on it. So like I was saying, as far as projecting onto other people, how I'm not a fan of that. So I'm probably projecting that nervousness onto other people that I come into contact with. Let me think of an example. Let's just say you told your friend that you're about to start a business or whatever, right? And I'm just going to play the role of a friend. So I'm your friend and I'm just like, but have you thought about like, that's not a good market right now? And like, what if it doesn't work? And like, girl, what if people don't support you? You know, people don't be supporting people's business these days. And like, well, such and such already got that business. Didn't it work for her? It's like, that is my nervous energy that I'm putting out into the environment and I'm projecting it onto you. So that's how this shows up when we are resisting. And it makes it hard to approach or get to know people is what it says, which I hope you can figure out why from what I just said. And it can result in a nervous breakdown or cancerous disease of some kind. So I'm glad that they did explicitly say it, because I had picked up on it. This can cause dis-ease. Like if you are embodying this and you are repressing this emotion, it can show up as disease, cancer. Like it's telling you that if you are repressing that energy, you're going to get sick. You're going to have a nervous breakdown, right? So this dark night of the soul, if we are repressing that energy, we're setting ourselves up to be sick. We're setting ourselves up to be projecting. Like we're not in a good space, but we know that we're all going to continuously be faced with this. So we definitely are going to get into what should we do about it, right? We don't want to just talk about problems. We want to talk about solutions. But before we get into that, the reactive nature is being crisis prone. So the emotional turbulence is expressed without clarity or honesty. It results in repetitive, destructive, emotional situations. Ooh, okay. So you keep repeating these emotionally destructive situations. Lives run like the soap opera. So they basically said you just live in this big drama, this big soap opera. Like this is like the drama kings and queens. All right. Non-acceptance of your true nature always comes back to haunt you. There's an inability to deal with your emotions, and sexuality cleanly and honestly creates further turmoil in other seemingly unrelated areas of your life. So that drama just starts to like spread, and you're always in a state of crisis, and it's always a drama. Like, these are the people that it's like, you know, when you call them or you text them, there's going to always be something going on. Like, dang, bro, do you ever just have some chill in your life? Do you ever just have peace? Like, are things ever just going okay? Like, why is there always something? And it's not like, don't get me wrong, life be lifing. Like, I've been saying that for a while. Life is going to life. However, these are the people that you can tell, like, you're bringing this upon yourself. Like, when you listen to it, it's like, well, yeah, you could have not did that. You shouldn't. And it's just like event after event, that person is like causing this drama for themselves. So those are those crisis prone individuals. Once again, not here to judge, here to inform and talk about solutions. So the gift, humanity, the spirit descending. All right. It is our suffering that connects us all together. I think that's beauty. I think that's beautiful. There's beauty in knowing that our suffering is what can bring us together and what connects us. I believe that because I witnessed it. Like, have you ever noticed it? Like, you may not know someone, but then you find out, like, dang, such and such is going through this, or you went through that too, and you instantly feel bonded and connected. And it's like, it's a powerful connection. Like, wow, like, we connect on the soul level. Like, you're going through that, I'm going through that, your pain is my pain. So I agree with that 100%. It forces us to evolve beyond our selfishness. I agree. Begin to transform your own suffering and open your heart to life. That's deep. All right. A person with the gift of humanity is a person who truly understands human emotions and who consequently understands all people. So the gift, like I told y'all in my first video about the gene keys, there's different numbers in your hologenetic profile, and it shows you like which are the ones that are the strongest and most apparent in your makeup. So if this is your gift, like, this is something that, this is not your shadow frequency. Like, you may experience it, but you're known to do pretty well in this. Like, you got this under control. So this is your gift. And then for those of us who might be struggling with this as a shadow, when I read the parts of the gift, these are things for you to make mental notes. Like, okay, if I start moving this way, or if I do that, or I keep that in mind, that's how I can like overcome this shadow. All right, so understands human emotions and consequently understands all people. So really listening to understand, like, there's different types of listening, may or may not know. And listening to understand, that's something that I learned when I was doing life coaching, and I took my courses for that. And it was like a different level of listening. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, and I realized how much I learned about people. Like, whoa, all right, when I'm not listening to respond, I can learn a lot. So when you are understanding people's emotions, listening with that understanding to understand their emotions, very powerful. The moment you let go of the notion that you are somehow a victim of the fates, you begin to finally communicate cleanly with others. So you have to escape that victim mindset, that victim mentality. You are a victor is what they used to say in church. So let go of that victim mindset, because we all are going to experience this emotional turmoil. So should we all be walking around here like we're victims of our circumstances? No, we shouldn't. So kind of work on that mindset and that mentality. Try to transmute that energy right there. These are people who have looked deeply into their own shadows, who have grappled with the challenges of their sexuality, their emotions, who are in the process of accepting their own suffering and thus experience it on a different level of frequency. I think acceptance is the most important word right there, because it's not saying that these are the people who just don't suffer. These are the people who just get it. No, they accept their suffering. They accept, you know what? Life is going to life. I'm going to have certain challenges. I'm going to go through this dark night of the soul. I'm going to experience this emotional turbulence. However, I'm gonna be all right. Like, I'm gonna make it through it. I'm going to learn from it. I'm going to learn the lessons, understanding the polarity, right? Understanding balance. That, like, if you go through this pain and sorrow over here, this emotional turbulence on the other end, like, you have to experience the good. Like, that's universal law. So, like, understanding laws of karma. So having an understanding and realizing that I need to accept this. Let me see, what else do I want to tell y'all? It is about working from your heart. And I don't even know how to like put into words just like the power of the heart and love and wanting to operate out of that space. The best way I can put it is coming from a space of pure intentions, but it's deeper than that. But operating from your heart. And it says, when you begin to live from your heart, you suddenly have an antidote to fear. So not walking around in a space and state of fear, but of from your heart, being your true self, you know? I feel like I'm starting to sound so cliche, but I'm serious, like operating from that heart center. Let me leave y'all with a couple more pieces before we close out. Oh my gosh, this sounds like a sermon. Let's see. This gene key has learned to accept the pain rather than run from it. In embracing your pain, you're actually trusting in your own strength and in life. Okay, the pain is there to teach you something. It is an invitation to accept your humanity in more depth and to feel the humility of living within a mortal form. That was powerful. I can end with that. So, our pain is here to teach us something. Keep in mind, like, with every L, with every loss, with every dark night of the soul, there's some lesson we're supposed to learn from it. And the other biggest thing I want y'all to keep in mind is there is no escaping it. We're going to forever, as long as we're here, experience these different dark nights of the soul, this emotional turbulence, this pain. But it's okay. Like, we can transmute that energy. We're going to learn something from it. We're also going to experience the rewards and the value from the lessons. So yes, that's what I have for y'all.